State calls Evan Barron to the stand.
Come on, thank you.
If you could raise your right hand, do you swear?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Please use the microphone.
Can you go ahead and state your name?
Evan Barron.
How do you know David Barron?
He's my dad.
Is his legal name David, or does he have a different legal name?
No, that's, yeah, James David Barron.
James
Yeah, he's my
David
dad.
Barron. I'm going to show you. It's been marked as States 218. Do you recognize who's in States 218?
Yeah,
Who's that?
that's dad.
Judge, at this time I move to tender States 218 into evidence.
No objection to 218.
Admitted.
I'm just going to briefly publish, Your Honor. So this is your dad, James David Barron.
Yes, yes it is.
Do you know when this photo was taken?
It was about 2 years ago. We were doing company pictures, and he grabbed the jacket on the back of his door and quickly decided to take it because he forgot his jacket that day.
And you say company pictures. Do you work with your dad? Did you work with your dad?
I did, yeah, for most of my career.
What did you do?
We work in design and construction, in management consulting, in aviation.
And so how long were you working with your dad for?
Well, it's kind of a family business, but I started as an intern when I was a kid, working and fixing printers. And I started professionally with the firm in Los Angeles in 2012.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a brother,
What's his name?
Taylor Colt Barron.
And are you the older brother or the younger brother?
I'm the older brother.
What's the age difference between the two of you?
2.5 years.
And do you have any kids?
I do. I just had one 3 days ago. My wife's still in the hospital.
So you had one 3 days ago. What number would that have made you with your growing family?
That would be number 4. So his name officially is Tyler, and he's our first son. And then we have Maddie, who's a 2-year-old, and then we have twins who are 4.
So all 3 girls, and then
Yeah.
a couple days ago you had your first son.
Yeah,
What about, you have any nieces or nephews?
I do. I have a nephew, and he's only 3 months old.
And so that would have been Colt's son.
Colt's first son, yeah.
So you mentioned your wife. What's your wife's name?
Britney.
Had you ever met Suzanne Mericle?
Yes.
How many times had you met her?
More than half a dozen.
When did you first find out that your dad was dating Suzanne?
It was the summer of 2024. I found out that they had gotten back together.
So when you say gotten back together, did you know that they had possibly dated prior to that summer of 2024?
Yeah, Dad told me they started dating back in, I guess, 2018, 2019, and then COVID happened, and then they decided to not continue the relationship and then got back together.
When they had dated prior to COVID, had you met her at that point?
No.
So when if you can remember, would have been about the first time that you did officially meet her?
It was sometime in the summer. We went on a family vacation in like the beginning of August of 2024.
Okay.
We went down to the beach. My uncle was there, Colt was there, his wife, our kids, Brittany and I. We all stayed in the same house.
So was it everyone from your side of the family at this beach?
Yeah,
And then Suzanne as well?
correct.
How'd that beach vacation go?
It was good. It was fine. We did what we normally do, spend hours on the beach and try to keep kids away from everything. And yeah, it was good.
What was your first impression of Suzanne when you met her dating your dad?
I thought she was, sorry, this is the tough part to say. I thought she was fine. I was looking forward to her and her relationship with Dad.
What were you looking for? Why did her relationship with your dad make you happy?
Because she was, from the same area. She liked football. She enjoyed, all aspects of being with family. She had kids. I think that I was most excited because Dad was always looking for somebody, and I think that having someone close by and being, local was something that was good for him.
Did you ever see them fight?
No.
Besides that beach vacation, did Suzanne ever come to any other family events that you had?
Yeah, she did. So our twins' third birthday party, it was in Roswell, so just north of us from Sandy Springs, and she was there. The whole family was there. My mom was there. Sister-in-law, all the kids.
And to be clear, is your mom Beth? Mm-hmm. Okay. When was that birthday party? Do you remember what month? I know it's your twins' birthday, so what month?
So their birthday's on September 15th, so it was a couple days either before or after, the weekend before or after.
Would that have been September of 2024 that your twins turned 3?
Yes.
Okay. Who is Meg?
It's my sister-in-law.
Was Meg also at that birthday party?
Yeah.
So that was September of 2024. How about October of 2024, that very next month? Did you go trick-or-treating as a family?
Yeah.
Did your dad end up going to that?
No.
Did you ever know why he didn't go trick-or-treating?
No.
Was Meg there?
Yeah. The kids,
Did you get a phone call from the defendant on December 28th of 2024?
Yes.
Tell me about that night. What do you remember about that night?
Yeah, so it was close to New Year's. Brittany and I were in bed. We got a phone call around 10, somewhere between 10 and 11, and she calls us, and she starts yelling, and she starts saying stuff on the phone. We're like, what's going on? Because clearly it's late at night, and I don't usually get phone calls like that. So we pick up, and she says, Evan and Britney, and she's on speakerphone, and my wife and I are in bed talking, and we're listening to her, and she's frantic, and she says, David and I got into an argument, and you could hear her, you could hear my dad in the background, and she was visibly upset, or audibly upset, and she says, I pulled a gun on your dad. And Brittany and I at that moment were like, okay, this is way out of the ordinary. What is going on? And she said, he got it away from me. And at that time, you can hear him in the background. He's knocking on the door, banging on the door, saying, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Because it's in my dad's nature to kind of just leave the situation. And so we're like, okay, there's no gun involved apparently at the moment, so what is the issue? And she says, we got into an argument, and I'm assuming it's about Lilia, something that Colt or I weren't really happy about, this Lilia person. And first of all, we were really worried, given that there was a gun in the situation, about her safety and Dad's safety, and she kept the door locked, and then the yelling stopped because Brittany and I assumed that he had found his keys and left. So we finished the rest of the conversation. It was about, what is this argument? And we wanted to make sure that he was okay. So knowing that he had left, got in his car, I texted him. I was like, Dad, where are you? Are you okay? Are you safe? And in Dad fashion, didn't get a very lengthy response, but he did at least say, I'm in a hotel or at the hotel. And from that moment, I was like, okay, at least the situation is, somewhat resolved.
What did she tell you that night on the phone what the argument was about that they were having?
Yeah, it was about Lilia.
Just briefly, because you mentioned this, you mentioned in Dad fashion.
No.
Was your dad a man of many words when it came to like texting, things like that?
No. Very brief, very short. You know, he didn't really like to talk a lot about personal things, didn't really like to talk about the relationship between he and Suzanne. I know that he always wanted to keep that more of a private thing for them to resolve. And he didn't really pull Colt and I into those conversations at all.
Did you know about Lilia before the night of December 28th when the defendant called you?
I did, yeah.
When did you find out about her?
I found out with more details that summer, actually right before the family beach vacation.
How did you find out about her?
My uncle, you know, gave me some indication that he had seen some paperwork from my dad, and then I had seen some paperwork on his desk at work. You know, we do work in the same office or multiple offices, and there were like money orders and wire transfers, and I wasn't happy.
Was this, to your knowledge, did the defendant know about Lilia prior to December 28th of 2024?
I don't think so.
And so when she called you and said that they were arguing about this woman, is that when you came to realize that she now knew about her?
Yes, because subsequent conversations ended up focusing solely around that.
Did she, after the night of December 28th, did she ever call you again to discuss this Lilia person?
He did, yeah.
How many times would you say that she called you after that night to talk about Lilia?
Maybe half a dozen.
What about texting? Did she ever text you about Lilia?
She did. She did, yeah. It was, like I said, not something that I was super excited about, this Lilia person who didn't even live in this country.
I'm going to show you what's remarked as States 199I, if you could take a look. Do you recognize States 199I?
Yes.
Have you seen this before?
No.
Have you seen a picture of this before with the text messages?
Yes, pictures, yeah, text messages for sure.
Is that text messages between you and the defendant?
It is, yeah.
Do you remember these text messages?
Yeah. Yes.
Judge, at this time I move to admit States 199I into evidence.
Objection. You put that top on that I.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did, yeah.
Thank you.
Admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
So we're looking at States 199I. I'm going to scroll down. So right here, there's an outgoing call. We can see it 12/28 on 12/28/2024 at 9:48 p.m. To Evan. Is this the night that you were just talking about, the phone call you got?
Yes.
And then there's an incoming call on that same night from you to the defendant. Do you remember calling her back that night at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
Was that just to discuss further the conversation?
A missed call, and I called her back.
Okay. So now moving on, you can see on February 1st of 2025, you got a text from Suzanne. If you don't mind, oops. If you could read the text that you got from Suzanne.
Yeah.
And you have a screen right there if that makes it easier for you to read.
Hey there, your dad came to SSI St. Simon's Island to talk to me about working this out. I did not tell him I reached out to you. He told me that he was going to stop sending her money and communicating with her. He told me that you saw something on his desk and asked him to stop. He told me the story between them. I am praying for us. I do love him so much. I know he is struggling. He told me he was helping you with the the treehouse. Please love him and support him. I have fallen in love with all of you.
And then, oops, sorry. She texted again. Can you read this okay?
Yeah.
Okay. She texted again at 12:44 a.m. on the 2nd. So that was the one you just read was at 7:49 on the 1st at p.m. And now we're looking at the following morning, 12:44 a.m. on February 2nd. If you could read that text you got from her.
Sure. I'm not going to text you anymore, but your dad needs support. He is sending that woman so much money and paying for an apartment. I cannot see him anymore.
And then I can see that you reply, there's a reply from you at 7:30. Can you respond to that? Or can you read that? I'm sorry.
Yep. Good morning. I'm going to talk to him today. Colt and I are sitting down with him to have a much needed discussion.
Do you remember that discussion you had with your dad?
Yeah, vividly, because like I said, I wasn't a fan of this Lilia person or what he was doing. Colt and I were building a treehouse for my twins. It holds obviously a special place in my heart, but we had finished installing the post piers and the concrete that afternoon because I needed his help. So Colt and I intentionally wanted to sit down with him on the porch afterwards and have a conversation about Lilia and stopping this, because we considered it more of like a predatory thing, because she wasn't living in the United States at all. We're like, Dad, this is someone who's taking advantage of you. It needs to stop. You're clearly having or trying to have a relationship with someone. And that's the part that kind of haunts me. So.
And then below this at 8:08 a.m. on the 2nd, she sends you a text, if you could read that.
Yeah, he got very angry at me last night because I kept asking him questions about the relationship. Of course, he lied, but she had told me many things. So then I confronted him having an affair with her. He became very, very angry and left last night after we returned from dinner. I can tell you many other things if you want to call me. I love your dad very much. There's too much betrayal, lies, and I cannot trust him. He kept turning on me. I've been faithful and loyal, and I was madly in love with him. If you want to, before he arrives, just let me know. I don't want him to think we've all turned against him, but I'm glad you and Colt are going to discuss with him. He is definitely not the man I thought he was. I feel like I've lost my best friend.
On to page 2, she, right there at the top of page 2 at 8:09, it says like, does that mean she liked your message?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you reply at 13, what do you say?
Sorry for all of this.
So she replies at 8:27, if you could read her response.
Wanted to show you who your dad is sending money to. Lilia is the mother and Emily is the daughter on FB, Facebook. They appear to be both financially stable, and if you look at Lilia, she has so many men following her and sending her money. It appears to be a scam con. You may want to intervene. Your dad is being taken advantage of. I know he is smarter than this. This is why my heart is broken and so disappointed. Why is he sending her so much money? Question mark. He's paying for an apartment at Harbor Point in New Jersey for Emily. She apparently has plenty of money. They both do.
And then you can see that she sent, it's obviously really hard to tell. Do you remember what those images were?
I'm assuming it's like a money order or...
So, she had, sorry, I zoomed out too much. She had said on FB, do you remember if she ever sent you screen captures of their Facebook profiles?
I don't know if she specifically sent me a Facebook profile picture, but I mean,
Okay.
Brittany and I looked her up. We know what she looks like. We know
Okay.
the daughter.
Then below that on page, below that at 8:31, so that text that you just read was sent at 8:27. So a couple minutes later, she sends you this text, if you could read that.
This is the apartment that he has rented for the daughter, Emily, that you can see on Facebook is doing extremely well. He has the lease until 2026. He told me that he fell in love with her, the mother, Lilia, and thought they were going to be married, and that's why he's been sending her money. And that was new information to me.
And so is she sending you, at this point, it looks like she's looking up apartment information for the daughter, Emily, and sending it to you.
Yeah.
Then she texts you again at 8:34, so 3 minutes later, and says what?
He keeps texting me, question mark.
And then she sends you some other stuff. Again, obviously, it's hard for us to see those screen captures, but that's at 8:48, so 4 minutes later. And then going on to page 4, you responded at 9:01. What did you say?
So, wow, I had no idea.
And then you sent a couple more messages, the next two, if you could read the next two.
Colt and I had a conversation today about multiple things. I'm going to address this lease in New Jersey ASAP now that I know.
And then she replies at 9:04, right here, and says what?
What did you discuss with your dad?
And then again at 9:05.
Have you looked up?
says-
Yeah. Have you looked up these women on Facebook? Your dad keeps texting me. I am not responding. I don't want him to know anything about me. Please don't let him know that we are corresponding.
And then you replied at 9:06 and 9:07. What were your next two replies?
I have not told him that you or I have chatted. This nonsense with this lady needs to stop. We talked directly about this today. It's almost like he's being scammed and preyed on.
And then below that is also your response.
We discussed his health, his relationship, his drinking, and this money wiring crap.
And then she replies at 9:08. What does she say to you?
What did he say about this relationship with me? I did not tell him that we have discussed it either. He told me that he was going to stop it. He told me he loved me and wanted to marry me, but Evan, I do not believe him. He is so involved with this woman.
And then the next two replies at 9:12. If you could read those next two text messages.
He does care for you, but he wouldn't go into more details and change the subject like he does with personal things.
And then the next one.
What is he texting you about? Question mark. Is he being apologetic?
So now moving on to page 5, she sends you something else, a screen capture at 9:13, but then below that kind of follows up with it at 9:20. What does she say below that?
I have not responded to him at all.
And 9:34, she sends you another text. What does she say there?
No, he is never apologetic. I don't know what this woman has over him, but it's obvious she has so many people following her and sending her money. Your dad should have never bought a home with me. What is wrong with him? I gave him my heart and my soul.
And then 1 minute later, she sends another text, if you could read that.
Please tell him to leave me alone. He knows my past. He knows how I've been hurt, and he continues to lie to me. What kind of person does that? I told him to get out of the house. I will be there on Thursday. I don't want to see him.
And then 20 seconds later, she sends another text.
Do not want to see him.
And then 2 minutes later, she sends another text.
I'm having to move back to my condo where my ex-boyfriend lives. He is renting. I own it because I can't afford to pay the mortgage on the lake house, the mortgage on my condo, and the rent to stay at this other place. He never offered me a dime, but he sent this woman and her daughter $6,000 and $7,000 a month. I've never asked him for a dime. He threw my wallet out and I lost all my credit cards, almost $1,000 worth of cash. I paid for myself to go to Cape San Blas, but he pays for this woman to fly all over the place. Then he was late taking me back and I had to pay $1,000 for another flight. He never paid me a dime. I wish I'd never met him.
Then after that text, she sends you another text 1 minute later. The top part is redacted. If you could just read starting at but.
But he's sending this woman so much money. I told him he should be putting this money in his grandchildren's college.
And then on the top of page 6, so that was at 9:38. She sends you a text 2 minutes later. And what does she say there?
She can barely speak English. I called her. She told me that she was married to your dad and for me to stop harassing her.
And then 2 minutes later again, text you. What does she say?
I am so sorry. Your dad needs support, love, and direction. I wish I would have never fallen in love with him. All of you are wonderful.
And then that was at 9:43 p.m. on the 2nd. So then you never reply to any of those. And then on February 3rd, she texts you again at 12 a.m. And what does she say?
He cares for me, question mark. He told me yesterday that he wanted to marry me in Hawaii, but he only cares for me.
Then again at 7:54, what does she say?
Good morning. I'm sorry for the numerous texts. However, your dad keeps texting me and calling me, and he had me so upset. I hope you have a good day.
And then at 8:34, she texts you again, and what does she say?
You're good. Your dad and I spoke last night in texting this AM. I'm sorry you and Colt are having to deal with this. I hope with love, understanding, and support, he can make better decisions. He did not drink all Friday until late Saturday evening. I kept everything put away. At dinner, he ordered. I do love him so very much.
And then again she texts you at 8:30, so you don't reply, that's at 8:30 in the morning. Then at 8:30 PM on the 6th, she texts you again. What does she say?
Hey there, thank you for everything. Your dad is here this weekend. We are discussing so much.
And then on the 7th at 10:30, you finally reply and you like her message, is that right?
Yeah.
And then you text at 10:35, and what do you say?
Hoping for positive change.
And then what does she reply?
Me too, thank you.
And then you text her on the 8th at 8 a.m. What do you say?
Morning, Brittany and I did look up the terms, and yes, you can get out of it, some hefty fees, but it can be done. I don't know if he has canceled yet. Haven't spoken to him a bunch this week.
And then on the 10th, she sends you a pretty long text message at 8:28 a.m., if you could read that.
Sure. Good morning. Your dad and I had a good weekend, and we have discussed the lease rental and also sending Lilia money each month. Talking to him is Lilia like licking teeth. I suggested firmly that he stop paying, and she will either have to pay or leave the premises. They should be able to pay the rent. The mother has other men paying for both her and her daughter's lifestyle. The daughter is receiving money from all her music videos, modeling jobs, and her Instagram account, as well as her mother. I'm sure you and Brittany have viewed their social media. They both are living extravagant lives. Your dad told me he has talked to Lilia several times regarding stopping payments to her and the rent. He tells me she does not understand and is confused. I told him she has been manipulating him. I'm afraid he does not have the heart to remove the daughter from the apartment. He feels something. They are scamming him. She texted me to go away. I'm ruining everything. She is smarter than your dad wants to believe. You may have to handle this for him. I wish it would end and go away for all of us. Sorry you guys are having to deal with this. I asked him to sit down and talk to all of you and get the truth out so we can get over this. Thank you.
And then you reply to that message later that evening at 11 p.m. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm glad you sent this, and I'm sorry this has come up in your relationship. Colt and I are sitting with him again this weekend to discuss next steps on what he has corrected to date. And yes, if Brittany and I have to step in, then we will.
And then she replies to your text about 9 minutes later. What does she say?
I did not know really what to do. Your dad and I had some good conversations this weekend. I'm coming to the lake on Thursday. We decided we are going to try to work on our relationship. I told him only if she and her daughter are completely out of the picture. He told me he was going to Los Angeles tomorrow. Thank you. I sent a gift with him for all the girls.
And then she at 11:16 hearted your first message and then texts you again at 4:09 p.m. on the 16th, February 16th. What does she say?
Hey there, is your dad still there? Please have him call me.
So,
And I'm assuming that's on the weekend that Colt and I had another sit-down conversation with him at the house.
and that was on
At our
February
house.
16th.
I think so, yeah.
So she seems to be did you feel like she was pretty open with talking to you about her frustrations with your dad and this Lilia person?
Yeah, I would say she confided in me.
And did she ever mention your dad ever physically abusing her?
No,
Did she ever mention anything to you about your dad not letting her eat or telling her what to dress or anything like that?
no,
Did she ever complain to you about anything other than this Lilia person?
no, that was 99% of the conversation most of the time.
Did you end up talking to your dad on March 7th of 2025?
Yeah,
Was
Yeah,
that the last time you spoke with your dad?
yeah,
How did he sound to you when you talked to him?
it was fine. I was sitting upstairs in our office in the house, which will now be a nursery. And Brittany and I had just bought some property in North Georgia. We were really excited, and I was doing this project that I was excited to tell him about. And we had a good conversation. I think they had just left dinner. They had gone to Olive Garden, and he was going to come over and help us with the playhouse. And I think he was going to have dinner or lunch with Colt and Allie, my sister-in-law and my brother, the next day. And we ended the phone call, and I got the chance to say that I love him, and that's a good thing for me. But yeah, he was fine.
How did you find out that your father had been killed?
So the next day, I was working on the playhouse. It was a Saturday, and Colt calls me like once or twice in a row. And in the family, twice is usually an emergency. And so he calls me, it was the morning of, and then he tells me that that he's died, and that he had found out from the investigator.
You're saying
Without
confrontation clause at this point?
without telling me what Colt said to you, did you find out from your brother?
Yeah.
At some point after you found out, did you go to the lake house to get your dad's car?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We had to make some phone calls, to the family, my uncle and other people. And we wanted to get started on, making preparations for the funeral and everything else.
Were you able to get your dad's car? Was it part of the crime scene?
No, the investigator had told us at that point that there was no more crime scene, or like the caution tape, whatever, is lifted, and that we could go and get his things if we wanted to get some things.
So your dad had his keys in his pocket at the hospital. Did you have a spare set of keys that you were able to use to drive your dad's car away?
I didn't, but when we went to go to the house, we found them pretty easily. They were, just to the left of the kitchen and around that little pantry area coming off the garage door.
Is that a spare set of keys to your dad's car?
Yeah. Dad, I think I would like to say copied me, because we bought a Telluride, and then the year later he bought a Telluride, and I knew that the manufacturer always gives you a second set of keys. So.
And that second set of keys was found at the lake house?
Yes.
Where exactly in the lake house did you find the second set of keys to your dad's car?
They were so if you come into the garage door, to the left is like a pantry area, and then to the right's the kitchen. So to the left is like a coffee maker and the junk drawer, and we found it over there.
So in like the main level of the home near the
Yeah.
kitchen area?
Yeah.
Thank you, Evan. I don't have any other questions.
Just a minute. Thank you. It's true to say that your dad sort of always wanted to have a house on the lake. Is that right?
Yeah.
In other words, it was a dream of his or a goal of his or something he wanted to be able to do in his lifetime was to have a lake house.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about that phone call on December the 28th, okay?
Okay.
Before that call, Miss Mericle had come on family vacation with you guys at the beach, right?
Yep.
And like you do whenever a parent or somebody else has a new partner, you're sort of assessing, who is this person? Do we like her? All that sort of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of an audition, for lack of a better term, right? You disagree with that? And the whole family's there. You're at the beach. You got kids. You got extended family. And you guys, across the board, concluded this is good.
Yeah.
And I think the word that you've used several times, this person's normal, is
Yeah.
one of the words you used, right? And everybody, it wasn't just you, I mean, everybody agreed,
Yep.
top to bottom.
Yes.
And one of the things you really liked, and everybody liked about Miss Mericle was she had a sense of family being a very important part of her life, right?
Yes.
And that's consistent with your values.
Yeah.
And when people are pairing up, you don't want to have some person who's not as interested in family as the other person there.
Agreed.
And what you knew was this is a woman who has kids herself, right?
Yeah, we hadn't met them yet, but yeah.
You hadn't met them, but you knew she was involved in their lives, right?
Yes.
And at this point, you've got 0 red flags, another way to put it.
Yeah.
And you get a phone call on December the 28th in the evening hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is something that is answered on a speakerphone,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, you're hearing yelling.
Mm-hmm.
You are hearing banging on a door.
Yes. Yeah. It
And
was
I
in the
think-
bathroom. She said she was in the bathroom.
That's right. She's in the bathroom. There's door banging. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I can hear my dad in the background saying, "Where are my keys? I know you took my keys," because he was trying to find his keys to leave.
And you said she kept the door locked.
Yes.
And she's conveying to you that she is concerned, obviously. Right? Correct?
Yes.
And she tells you, she said she just wanted to get away, she just wanted to leave the situation. Right?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure you can see.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you still see that over here? Okay. When you're hearing this on the speakerphone, you say to her, "What is that sound in the background?"
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And she says, "That's your dad." Correct?
Yes.
And he's yelling.
Yes.
Judge, permission to move so I can see what's being written.
And you hear a statement from her about having gotten a gun.
Correct.
Did she tell you what gun it was?
No, not that I recall.
Did she say, I got my gun or I got his gun?
Not that I remember.
You know the word gun was used.
Yes, and that was what alarmed Brittany and I.
Yes. This was, to say the least, a very alarming phone call. Yes?
Yes, for Brittany and I.
And after this, after the call is over, you make a determination that you're going to have a discussion with your father.
About?
Exactly. About what?
Colt and I knew that we needed to have a conversation with Dad about Lilia before that.
After this, though, you go to him about his behavior. True?
Related to Lilia.
You go to him about his behavior and also his drinking.
Yeah, it was mostly for the health of him because he was getting older, and we wanted to make sure that he was around for a long time to be with the grandkids.
You wanted him to be around. You didn't want him to keep making mistakes.
No, not mistakes. I needed him around in my life.
Sure. But you went to him, someone who didn't like to talk about his personal life.
Yeah.
You and your brother, right?
Yeah, we had to sit down in February.
And this is not an easy thing for you to do with your father.
No, it was something we wanted to like have an intervention and say, Dad,
Exactly.
let's stop this Lilia thing.
Exactly. After learning that a gun, purportedly by her, has been pulled on him,
Yeah.
you have an intervention with your father. True?
Yeah, a couple weeks later.
I want to ask you specifically about, do you still have that exhibit up there with the text?
No.
You don't? Okay. Can I hand him you have the physical?
It's right here, it's up here.
Okay. May I approach, Judge? If you would look at the last page on 199I. Judge, can I get the Elmo again? After all the text going back and forth, the calls and stuff that we talked about before, there's a bit of a break in the action, if you will, between February the 10th and February the 16th, right? There's a 6-day window, right?
Yeah.
And then you get 2 messages on the 16th,
Yes.
right?
I'm assuming that's Saturday? I believe
Right.
It's Saturday.
February the 16th.
Yeah.
And after this date, February 16th, 2025, the messaging, the communication, the calls ends.
From her to me?
Yes.
Yes.
In other words, this is the end of her discussing her displeasure about this relationship and talking about trying to salvage the relationship with your father and involving you. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the tough part, is we thought that conversation that Colt and I had would help the situation.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
No other questions, Judge. May this witness be excused?
Thank you for your testimony. You can, you're excused, you can remain in the gallery. Thank you.
Do I put this here?
Thank you.